Welcome to GoSimcha, the podcast that takes you on an in-depth approach to the Jewish music, entertainment, and simcha world. Now, here's your host, Zeeshadiscusses. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of GoSimcha, the podcast. We had so much fun recording the episode, but it couldn't have been done without the help of our sponsor, Zeeshadiscusses and Vikalis. We're going to take a minute to hear a little bit more about them. The following episode of GoSimcha, the podcast, is proudly sponsored by Zeeshadiscusses and Vikala. Zeeshadiscusses and Vikala was founded over 25 years ago and is based in Brooklyn, New York. KSCVK helps widows, orphans, and people who are in dire need of marrying off a child. Working through their network of vendors, KSCVK ensures that every wedding is just as special as the next. Run by world-renowned party planner Devorah Benjamin, KSCVK takes care that each wedding is as elegant as the next one, ensuring dignity and class through every wedding that they put on. To donate to KSCVK, please visit their website, kscvk.org, today. That's kscvk.org, and help make someone's wedding special. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another week of GoSimcha, the podcast. Exciting things are happening over here with our show. We're actually in the process of being put on another radio station and another big Jewish website because people just can't get enough of GoSimcha, the podcast. And it's amazing. And this week also, I just want to take a quick minute to discuss something. Mikey Hill out here in Israel is working on doing a big 36-hour matching campaign fundraiser to help us raise over 2 million shekel in support of the Mosdos and the yeshivas and all the chesed that we do out here, the Kilo of Kasavizhnitz. I'm going to put a link in the show notes afterwards. So if you're interested in donating, every shekel counts, every dollar counts. You can make a donation there as well. But this week, we're up to episode 30 of GoSimcha, the podcast. It's really cool. I got a very special guest on with me today. He's pretty famous. And I'm sure you've heard his music sometime in your life. He just released a new album, and he's decided to come down and sit with us here on the show. I'd love to welcome aboard Eitan Katz, sitting down with us today on GoSimcha, the podcast for episode 30. Eitan, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Sure, my pleasure. Listen, it was exclusive your cousin, Nachum, who taught me how to podcast, and now we're here 30 episodes in. So, it's
like a boss. That's all I got to say. Book like a boss.
Look at that. We're doing product placement here as well. Book like, I'm totally, like a boss. Like a boss. Yeah, that's great. So yeah, Eitan, man, seriously, it's a pleasure having you on the show. I'm a big fan of your music. I love the style. I love, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later but I love the style of your music, like that classical guitar, that classical sound. It's just relaxing, it's soothing. That kind of little bit of like Karl Bach kind of esque, like sound you got going on there. But we'll talk about that later. It's a pleasure having you. But my question is, how did you get into this? I mean, you're musical, your brother's musical. Like, how did you get into this whole scene?
That's a good question. I often wonder that myself. What happened? What was the, chronology of me ending up where I am right now? I mean, I've been singing since I'm a little kid. My father is a very beloved personality in the music world. He's a musician. He's a chazan. He's a music teacher, and music has always been a part of my life. That's for sure. I never, growing up singing, I don't remember when I had that like light turn off. Oh, maybe I should do this professionally. Like it just kind of happened. Like you start singing and then you start playing guitar, and then suddenly you're singing like at an event. You're singing with your father and with my older brother had a band back then when I was in high school. So I always used to be the annoying little brother and piggyback onto singing a song or two with him. And then you go to yeshiva and you start playing guitar more and you realize that, oh, like, this is good. Like, it sounds good. Excuse me. And then you get your first call to sing by a chuppah or to sing by a wedding, and then you meet new people, you meet musicians, and you like playing with them, and you start writing your own music, and you realize that I have I went to I have a master's degree in psychology, counseling, psychology, whatever.
Cool.
Not a PhD or anything or a PsyD, just like while I was in yeshiva at night, I was doing this, and I don't remember thinking that I was doing this as a side thing. I was doing that because I found it interesting, and I thought okay, this would be good, get a job, but I never really ended up using it because by the time I was finished with that, I was already regularly playing music in a way that I was able to support myself. And over the years, with my family, as the family grew, Baruch Hashem, the work grew also, and I never saw the need to. Baruch Hashem, B'lein Hara, I have nothing but thanks and akar satov to Hashem for everything He's done for me with this. As far as asking how did this evolve, usually my guess is, some people, I knew that I was always going to be involved in singing and everything, but doing it when I do full time to make a parnasa and it's been a while since I've decided to go in this path, but before that it was just something that I just loved doing.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I've had nearly 30 people sit down with us on our show and tell us their stories, and not many have said that they're able to do this as a full-time gig. The music industry is in the Jewish music industry especially, it seems like it's and from my knowledge of it, it's very difficult to really make this a full-time gig. And only a handful of you guys who I've spoken with are really doing this on a continuous basis, which is absolutely amazing. To be able to make.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem, I'm charging $50,000 a song, so it's easy to, I'm joking. I wish.
No,
I don't wish.
Yeah.
No. I don't want to be that guy.
No,
but
not for you.
Listen, it's not easy. It's not. I'm not going to say it's the actual singing and the actual playing with the band, and and I'm not going to say that it's not a tremendous amount of fun, because it is, and it's fulfilling. But when you have to start leaving the family for Shabbos, and you have to start, and you miss, you're
Right.
missing out on a lot of bedtimes, and you're self-employed, running your own business.
Right.
The weight of running one's own, with all the people that help me, Baruch Hashem. Listen, what can I say? It's an awkward question. It's a hard question to answer, because I thank Hashem every day for allowing me to do this. I believe that I believe in what I do. I really believe in the message and the power of music and the power of what real Jewish music can accomplish, and I run away from it. And over the years, I've tried to, I've struggled with trying to figure out how to make it a healthy lifestyle, which is always, it's not easy being on the road and being not around, and
Right.
just spiritually being on stage, talking to someone about this. It's trying to trying to promote spirituality while being on stage. It's like a stira. It doesn't make any, you can't, it's almost, it doesn't exist. A stage, it usually represents, look at me, gaiva, star power, all that, celebrity, all that, terms that, don't really sit well with spirituality, which is almost the exact opposite of bringing Hashem into the world more, putting Hashem on a stage. And I'm not perfect at it, but I feel like the first acknowledgement that I can make is that it's an avoda. And if I don't think it's
no, for sure.
me not being interested and not wanting to do this anymore, you know?
No, for sure. I mean, but that's all part of it. Music is one of the most powerful things we have, and to use it to elevate and bring in kedusha, and to really make a difference and make an impact on people. I've talked about this with some of our other guests on the show before as well. It's like, it's a huge tool, and to take that and to really bring the spirituality to it and enlighten people and use it for so many things is tremendous koach. And you happen to be what you do. So like, how did you find your sound?
Thank you.
You have a very unique sound to you. I happen to be a musician myself, so I'm able to pick these things out. Like I play a number of different instruments. I used to write my own music, not so much anymore. But you have a very unique sound to you. And especially on this album, I like that one track you did with Benny Friedman. I saw the video too. Like, I love that you have the classical bass in there, and you have a lot of those classical sounds in there. I love the upright bass. I'm just like a big fan of that. And it's like, but I've noticed that it's a common theme with a lot of your albums, is that you have that more like classic sound to you. So how'd you find that?
You know, there is a part of me that is a musician. Meaning, like, I don't know I'm saying it. That sounds funny, but like, you know, there's a deep love for music just for the sake of music.
Right.
And having the ability, to me, it's always, I guess, an avoda that I found, a constant avoda is to be able to give the right amount of music to properly, you know, hold the niggin like a kli, you know. Right. And I've been blessed with wonderful. I mean, you know, I play guitar. Guitar is my instrument, so naturally I'm drawn to the acoustic, kind of like instruments. You can hear you can very much hear the person playing the instrument with the fingers moving up and down the strings. Like, it's a very personal instrument that you could take with you everywhere, you know, and that's kind of where it starts. On the other hand, I've been blessed to be surrounded by the most incredible group of musicians from all different types of musical instruments, and they feel the same way about their instrument, and we kind of formed a way. Like, I'm talking about like the immediate like band that I play with here locally in New York and abroad also. The ability for them to like hear what I'm trying to accomplish and to lend their talent and lend their knowledge of music, which is 99% of the time is far beyond I can ever imagine. I'm talking about just in basic musical knowledge. They're able to really like take the music and bring it to life in a professional, in a musical way, but not losing the spirit behind it. That song that you quoted, Befi Sharm with Benny Friedman, is a perfect example.
Yeah.
The arranger, Rambam Agababayev, was a close friend of mine, a dear friend of mine. He's a master pianist. And what he did, I couldn't arrange. I mean, yeah, that song was written with a guitar in a hotel room in Europe, believe it or not, somewhere. And like, wow. Of course it was written with a guitar, but when I heard it, I was like, listen, my ability, I wouldn't be doing justice to this song if it would be like an acoustic jam session. It has to be something bigger than that. But I want to give it to somebody that's going to also appreciate the words, appreciate what it, kind of like the song is such a proud description of Klal Yisrael. You know, Befi Sharm Tisrael, Tzadikim Tizbarach, beautiful. Well, the Makel, it's a beautiful and regal expression, even without the tune. So the tune and the arrangement needed to serve that purpose to bring out the beauty of these incredible words, which are usually read very quickly during Shacharis morning. And what he did with that song, what he did with the orchestration of it, it sounds like symphonic. It sounds like $1 million, and I've never gone that far on my other albums. I've never done anything like this before, and I was nervous about it because it definitely steps away from what my listeners are accustomed to. But when I heard it, what he did with it, I was just like, wow, you just nailed it. You gave me like hope that I could go to areas of music that I've never really done before, like that symphonic type of waltz, and still not just not lose like the pneumius of the niggin, but really enhance it, So that was really cool.
Oh yeah, totally. I loved it. I loved every single minute of that song because the melodies, the way it's scored, the way the waltz, it was incredible. And like I said, like that bass, that bass line in there was just fantastic. Like whenever you get an upright bass in there, whenever you get a classical bass in any song, and with a piano with that set of instruments, like it's a totally different experience than hearing it with like certain other instruments, like with their electrical counterparts or whatever. It's a totally different listening experience. I really loved it, and I just love how it just constant. It's like constant. It's a classic definition of a waltz. It's back and forth, and the video. It's very comical. Like you and Benny. Like Benny's a character. I love Benny. He is a character. And like it's just a cute video. It's like nice. It's like, and you're right. It really takes the psukim that we kind of just rush through on a regular basis, and really kind of slows it down and brings it to its full splendor. And that's exactly what we were talking about before. It's like bringing that kedusha out within the music, and like you did that. You captured that in this song, and I'm telling you, like, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
For real. So you have a number of different albums out there, and like I said, like you have, and you're also a wedding singer. You do all sorts of things. Like, what's your favorite thing to do? Like, what gives you that geschmack when you're creating the albums, or you're out there at the weddings, or you're doing concerts? Like, what's your thing?
It's a great question. It's live music. Live music is the most exhilarating experience ever. For me, there's different types of live music. There's the combs that I'm doing by myself, which it's of course it's very spiritually charged, and it's beautiful to see people, join and react to it, and kind of introspect through the process of the evening, which is very special. You have the studio is where I'm able to tap into a certain creativity, and by now, Baruch Hashem, B'li Har, like I know that like I'm putting something out and people are going to listen to it. Like it has to be really good. It has to be a certain pressure that I like. Actually, I like the studio. The studio is it's fun, and it's a whole different type of experience for me. I get the process of seeing a niggin that you wrote on your couch at 2 a.m. one night, or like, for example, like we just did the B'fia Sharm, like sitting like I was, ready for a concert in Europe, and like seeing that turn into this incredible product. It's a very moving experience. But when I'm doing weddings, feel like it's kind of hard to say love it the most, because again, I don't think I love that more than I love CDs, or more than, meaning album making, or more than I love composites. I feel like alive when I'm on stage with my musicians, playing music that both on a musical level sounds good, and therefore it's like the proper kli to bring out like the real simcha in people. Playing weddings, I mean, I can't get enough of it. I can't get enough of the band playing together. Even we're playing the same thing night after night. It's never night out. It's never the same thing night after night. It's the new energy. And then you have concerts where I get to perform my own music with my band, and it doesn't always have to be like a 12-piece orchestra. You can play with 3-4 guys who are tuned in to the purpose and what we're doing. And it's like, we just had this concert in Oakland, California. I went out with 3 of my musicians, a drummer, a bass player, and a violinist. And it was just like, it was just incredible to be there, to be able to and what's funny is I'm not saying this out of humility. I don't consider myself that great of a guitarist. I can play rhythm guitar, decent, but I look at myself and I compare myself to the other people that I've played with, and I'm embarrassed to play with them. And yet, but when you have a tight group of guys who are supporting each other, and even me as the leader of the band and as the leader of the group, and as somewhat the focus of the show, it's not given off that way. It's given off as a group effort. Yeah, I happen to be the lead singer. I happen to be the composer of the songs. My name is on the flyers. But when we're out there playing the music together, it's a really special experience. And it's, that's a bunch of different ways to be involved musically. One thing that I thank Hashem every day for the fact that I have a business and I have an office to run and I have customers to speak to, but get away from my office and go and just play. It's but that's right. It's a full-time job. It's a full-time to properly do this.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool and really inspiring. And I know what you mean. You want to get away every once in a while and pick up your guitar. I mean, I keep my guitar right behind me in my office right here. Just every once in a while you pick it up, you just want to, you start jamming. It's a great feeling, and yeah, it's really cool, to be able to do that. And I hear what you're saying, when you have that tight group, that band that you're playing with, that you guys know each other and and you work well together, melodically, rhythmically, everything, it all comes together to create one beautiful sound. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So who would you say is a better guitarist, you or Shlomo?
Oh, my brother by far.
That's
my brother
funny.
by far.
Yeah. He's pretty talented. He used to come around to my yeshiva. He was friends with my Rosh Yeshiva here in Israel, and I remember he used to come around and do kumzitzes on sukkahs in the sukkah. He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Yeah. There's no question about that. He's a very, very special human being. And the last thing he probably wants to be referred to as a musician, knowing him. but he's a wonderful brother to have, and he's just an inspiration for me to keep truth to the whole purpose of what we're doing, etc. So I very much cherish the fact that I have him as an older brother.
Nice. I noticed on this album you guys actually collaborated. There's a song you guys did together on this.
Yes. Allah Sadiqim. Yes. We wrote this niggin together. We did a wedding together in Chicago 6 years ago. 5-6 years ago. Seemed like it was that long. I think it was that long. And it was just a niggin. And then before a concert we did on Hanukkah a couple of years ago, we wanted to perform it, and it was right after Steinman was there, and I don't know. Whenever like a gadol is niftar, it's like, I don't know. For me, you feel scared to walk outside. Like the world changed, Like the world, it's not the same world anymore, and kind of like scared to let your kids go out, and like there's a certain shmira that the tzaddikim have in this world on us, and when they leave, it's a scary time, and it's a time to like really, connect to that. And I had suggested we do it to the words of, Ala Tzaddikim, the simcha keinu iman, the high parts, over and over again. The same simcha keinu sim. Like just davening that we should be a part of that minority group of people in this crazy world that is mevatel themselves to big holy people, So we sang it at the concert with those words, and it stuck, and it was very it's a really, really special. It's like, I think it's my wife's favorite niggun on the album. It's just such a special tune. That's what, I'll tell you, like, I'm just, if there's anything I'm proud about with this album, like, of course, everyone wants to say how good their album is, and I'm sure everyone is right. I feel like if there's some type of gaiva d'kedusha about this album, is that, like, it just, I try to keep a sincerity throughout the whole. It's almost like I'm telling it. Someone told me recently that they feel like I'm telling my story through the album, and I never thought about it like that. Like, of course, look, with all the other albums, like, it wasn't like I was doing pop, hard rock and roll, But like with this one, I feel like even as I'm like getting more comfortable doing things that I've never done before, whether it's on a musical level, on a production level. There really is a message, a deep spiritual message behind almost every song, and it's like it's something that I can look back and say, okay, Baruch Hashem, at least I have this, So especially with a nigga like Ala Tzaddikim, like, my gosh, like, it's such one of those cases where, of course, lechatchila, you always want to have the words first, and then put the nigga into it so you can have like the right expression. But then when I heard these words with this niggin, I really felt that it matched, and the tefillah was properly portrayed, properly represented.
That's really, really cool. So we're gonna take a quick break for a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
We've come to the time of year again. It's the 2019 Ura auction with prizes much bigger than before. Just you wait, see what we have in store. Sold tickets to Israel, a big fat check, and the Shaitan jewels to put on your neck. Pay your rent, get a car, let us clear your deck. Go relax and win some weekly cash. We'll cover your tuition bill and maybe give you a new van. We'll send you on a trip nearby or to the Holy Land. Shop online or in New York, you'll get a great big shopping spree. Or $50,000 you can take home instantly. It's easy to enter, just call us or go online. Just make sure you do it before you run out of time. More than $600,000 in prizes, only $5 a prize. Enter now at uraauction.org or call 1-877-7-AUCTION.
And we're back from our commercial break. That's really impressive. It's funny. Like every episode, we have this conversation with our guests about albums versus singles, and as you were describing your album, it's like every song is part of a story, and it's part of your story. And I find that with albums, that's exactly it. Like when you put out an album, you're really telling a story. Each track has its own message behind it, and each one has a very powerful message to tell. And how you're saying like about your album, I think the title is very befitting, Ashrecha. I think I think you hit it right there with the title. After describing everything about it, like I definitely think it's a befitting title. What would you say?
You know, it's Ashrecha was maybe second or third to last songs I wrote for the album, and I didn't know what I was calling the album until like this minion came down and the words of the Piazetz and the Rebbe, so Chovas HaTalmidim, that's where the words are from. Ashrecha nar Yisrael v'ashrei chalkecha. Just to hear those words, you know, somebody called me a pretty well-known radio personality in Israel who I'm in touch with, very nice guy. And he called me, left me a message. He said, Eitan, you know, which niggun do you think that I sit down and I just cried my eyes out with tissues? Mamish was saying he wasn't exaggerating. I started listening all like the slow niggunim, the ones that are a little bit more intense, whatever. And he's like, no. I was like, so which one? It's like when I heard the first three words of the song, Ashrecha nar Yisrael, I just started crying. And he explained to me like the empowerment of simcha and of appreciation towards not just a nar Yisrael, a child, but anybody. Obviously the Rebbe is talking to his students, but of course he's talking to every single one of us. You know, it's just like the sheer happiness from being a part of something so grand, the ability to be a part of the Am HaNivchar, the ability, the schutz it is to have Sfarim, to have a halacha, to have Chassidus, to have Musa, to have all of these avenues of tools to not just survive Olam Hazeh, but to thrive in Olam Hazeh. Those three words, Ashrecha nar Yisrael, and like it was like a no-brainer that the album has to be called that, because that's like what the message is all about. Even though like the niggun is definitely more upbeat and it's more like, it's debatable whether it's my classic quote-unquote style, you know?
Right.
But it has the cheshik in there, it has the chuka in there, it has the to be like to that world where Ashrecha, you know, over and over again, that like every person who ever feels himself as being a part of Yiddishkeit, Ashrecha. You open up, you know, a little child open up an Aleph Beis, Ashrecha. You know, person learning Daf Yomi, Ashrecha. Person finding time at work to have 2 minutes of the Sefer, listen to like a Torah tape or put on, you know, an app that has a share in it. Like, you're not just doing something good. You're doing something that is just praiseworthy. And I hope that it gives the proper chizik to people. And that's why, like, when you see the words Ashrecha on the album, it's like, I just feel good just seeing those words. I mean, for me, I see the word Ashrecha, I just feel good. I feel good about what we're doing here, you know?
That's really cool. Yeah, and I agree with you 100% on that one. Ashrecha. I couldn't agree more. And you're right. When you say it's like, it's not like it doesn't really flow with your traditional style and your sound, but it fits really well within the album. Yeah. And I think that's also like a mileage to albums, is it like, you know, everything kind of flows. You put all the right tracks in there, all the right songs in there that you want, that just kind of flow, and they really tell your story. You know, it's like I said, we've had this conversation multiple times with different artists and what their opinion is on it. Some of them like singles, some of them prefer the albums, but it's all about who you are and what your style is and how you want to convey your message to people. Some people can do it in one go, and others, you know, like you have that story. I personally, like I said, I'm personally a fan of albums because I like to feel what you're and experience what you were thinking when you were creating that music. And I find that you get that experience and you get that understanding with an album, because each track is a new thing. You know,
I feel like nowadays the role of singles versus albums is, let's say you put out an album, and then you want to wait a couple of years to pull out another album, but you want to stay relevant and you want to stay like in people's playlists and stuff, and you want to, so you put out a single that kind of like, it's usually something different, something special, something that's not, that wouldn't necessarily fit on an album, or for example, there are 12 tracks on this album, but there's like 6 tracks that were recorded but weren't put on for whatever reason, for reasons that I didn't feel it was right. I didn't feel it was a little bit too much, too little, too this, too that, whatever it is. But like, you will be hearing them, sometime. I'm not sure how or when, but you will be hearing them probably through the single avenue. Like in a year from now, when I'm not in a year from now I have a whole.
Oh.
I'm not sure if I'm going to announce it yet, but I'm planning very soon. I know I've been saying this for a while, but Alive in Jerusalem too.
Ooh.
And Eretz Yisrael. So yeah.
That's exciting.
And that's going to be. Yeah, I think that was one of my most successful albums. I think when I say successful, I don't mean financially. I mean Baruch Hashem, it did well, but like, I mean, like, it opened up avenues of crowds that weren't familiar with my music. And because it has a live energy to it, has a very, the live kumzas basically, and with a couple hundred guys, but like, I'm looking to do it like on a much bigger, not bigger like in look, it's bigger, showy bigger, but in a much, like, to get a lot of people in a room, to have a tremendous amount of hashpah, like in one room. I'm not going to say when. I'm not going to say where. It's probably going to be in Jerusalem because it's called Live in Jerusalem. But
right.
I will, but that's probably going to be my next project, where we're able to sing, just get thousands and thousands of people. No, I'm joking. But
that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the album thing. It seems like this album that you just put out is your newest one. When was the last time you made an album before Ashrecha? Because you have this is Kanana, my 10th album. Wow, there you go. I see
the
where you
last
stand
one.
on this.
What? What do you mean? Yeah.
I see where you stand on this debate.
Yeah. No, I mean there. I've put out like two or three singles in the past couple of years, but last, Pure Simcha, my wedding album, was the last album that I put out. And before that was Live in Jerusalem, and before that was Shuvu, which had the El Nigun on it, the Nigun Baruch Hashem that became a little bit humbly popular. And like that was 2013. That was like 5.5 years ago when I put out. No, it was the beginning of 2000. Yeah, it was 6 years. So it was an incredible amount of time since I put out my last all original album. Like the last 2 albums were the Live in Jerusalem and the wedding album. So this was definitely a long time coming. Some of the nigunim on this album I wrote years and years ago. Just never had the right time to put it out. But this is,
that's pretty cool.
That's
and so I guess you already mentioned to us what your next project is, Live in Jerusalem too. I'm excited for that one. I really liked the first album. And
I hope you come.
You tell me where and when, and I will show up. I will be there, and I will be singing alongside you.
You'll do a GoSimcha live podcast from the show. How's that?
B'simcha. You tell me where and when I will be there, and we'll do this. We will do this.
Everyone will know. It's going to be at a time where I'm guessing a lot of people will be in Israel. But
So, because Pesach.
I'm not saying, but if
You're not saying.
no, not because it's a secret, but because I don't know myself. But no, it's good. No, whoever's gonna want to come is gonna know about it. It's gonna be a Baruch Hashem.
Well, I'll be all ears. I'll be all ears, and like I said, you tell me where and when I will show up, and we will do a live recording, and I'll even come up on stage and sing with you. I'll sing and dance with you. It'll be fun. It'll be a hoot.
I do want to sell, so I don't know. No, I'm joking. I don't know you at all, but I'm sure you're a wonderful musician, wonderful singer. But yeah,
I try. Listen,
it's gonna be a party. It's gonna be.
Well, we like parties.
It's gonna be Mitzvah Shem. Right now I can only focus on getting the word of this album out, but just throwing it out there because I know that a lot of people had a lot of hana from Live in Jerusalem. So I'm gonna just give everybody that news, and yeah, that's about it.
So before we wrap it up here, what would you say is your favorite song on this album?
It's just so not a fair question.
Oh.
It's like asking me which one of my kids do I love the most.
Okay.
Like, no, I'm joking. I mean, I'm not joking. It does have a lot of the similarities, but right now, Kikarov is definitely one of the Nigunim that are really close to my heart. So I think it's track 3. That's like a really, really special nigun. I mean, again, like it's very hard talking about my own stuff like this, but like I just feel very passionate about it, and it's a nigun you can really sing along. And again, like my sister texted me the other day. She's like, this nigun. So like you've never written a song that fits more with the words than this, and I was very happy to hear that she felt that it fit, and so that Kikarov is very Befia Sharm always just makes me happy.
Yeah.
We're working on a new music video for the nigun on the album, not nigun chazak. And not Nigun Cheshik. There's 3 Nigunim on the album. The middle one that is just called Nigun. And we were actually going to call it Zeeshadiscusses Nigun because I wrote it in between watching and Chala by Zeeshadiscusses one time.
That's great.
I didn't want to limit it to Zeeshadiscusses, but
that's great.
But and the last 2 Nigunim on the album, Ad Masai and V'sein B'libenu, are like. If there's any song that is like the most personal, like me expressing myself, it's those last 2 songs that are like super, super personally performed and the whole thing about it. So basically, the whole album is geschmack. What can I say?
Awesome. It's funny, like you were saying how that one nigun you wrote in between washing and Hamotzi, Zeeshadiscusses, like and some of your other nigunim that you wrote kind of like in these like random places. It's funny, when I had Joey Newcomb on the show, he said like half of his album, he's like, his one of his most famous songs. He's like, yeah, I was in the middle of davening mincha, and I just and this just came over me and I wrote it down. Like he's like most of my songs on my album were all came to me in the most random places. That's like true genius. Like that's true musical genius right there. It's like if you get something in your head and you just sit down and you just like pull out your guitar, you pull out your recorder and you just like start singing it. That's talent, That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that happens.
It's Zeeshadiscusses. That's what we like calling it.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. But it's funny, but everything comes in the right place. Everything comes in the right time, and again, the Zeeshadiscusses that comes with it. You're able to write that down, produce a hit, Kanai her. So where can people find your music, book you for weddings, say hello, all that fun stuff?
Well, Thank you. The music is available. On all ways people listen to music these days.
Right.
It's all available right away, streaming on Spotify and Apple Music. It's also available for purchase.
Yes.
on Oh, yes, we are. Yes, we are.
We're big believers in buying music here on this podcast, and we like to support our artists because someone has to.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I always tell people that, like, for the price of something less expensive than, a chef sushi roll, you could have something. You could have something for life, and it's people only knew what's put into like the process. Not just the amount of money, but the amount of sweat and like real raw effort that is just never ending. Like, obviously streaming is it's legal and it's but it's very hard to it's not easy to see 70,000 streams and like
translate into dollars.
Translate into dollars, exactly. So if you have the $9.99, I would definitely pitch the support the artist effort. But again, it's more important to me. The reason why I put it on streaming right away is because I believe that if that's the way you're going to listen to it, then I want you to listen to it that way. And I don't care. At the end of the day, like, I'm just mostly like playing around with the buy it here. It'd be great if you could buy it, but it's more important for you to listen to it. So, EitanKatz.com. You get all the information there for like booking me and all that stuff. And that's it.
Cool. Very, very cool. Eitan, it was seriously an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show. A true musician in all your splendor. I really enjoyed talking with you. I learned a lot from you, and big fan of your music. Big fan of your album. I wish it tremendous hatzlacha, and you should only see bracha from it. And we should say ashrecha achi. Ashrecha.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. You should have a lot of hatzlacha too. With everything you do, Mr.
Oh, man. Wonderful. Thank you so much. You've just listened to another wonderful episode of GoSimcha, the podcast. For more news, updates, and information on our next episode, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram at GoSimcha Live, and don't forget to check out the show notes and videos on www.gosimcha.com along with zeradio.com. Thanks for listening, and remember, Go Simcha!